Hello everyone. Once again, welcome to my channel. My name is Shiva Krishnan and I upload videos related to data analytics and AI and its components. Okay. So, after a long time, I'm going to be creating a video about a Power BI dashboard. All right. So, I've already created this dashboard right here. Okay. And we'll be creating a dashboard in this video. All right. Very much similar to this one. All right. So now, before we get started, I really like to acknowledge your continuous support and your love. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that very much. All right. So that definitely does encourage me to, you know, make videos related to various aspects of Microsoft Excel and Power BI. And while I create videos, it's helping me, and based on your interest, it seems that it's helping you as well. All right. So we will keep this momentum going. Okay. Now let's take a look at the problem statement here. That it says here that the telecoms are fighting hard for their customers, and our client needs help. The call center manager can't see what the trends are. Okay. So based on this problem statement, it's pretty evident that the telecom company is losing its customers, and the call center manager is not aware of what is leading to that particular problem. All right. And as a data analyst, we have to present the solution, and the solution will be to create a dashboard which will make everything clear. Okay. So it will highlight the trends of what's going on in the call center, and so when we create a dashboard, we have to highlight the trends so that we can come up with a solution which will then help the company to retain the customers. All right. So let's get started. In today's video, we will be, you know, creating several charts, and we'll also be using DAX queries. Okay. Now, one of the DAX queries that will be used, see, the full form of DAX query is, data analysis expressions, right? That's the theoretical part. Okay. Data analysis expressions. So, in other words, if I were to give you a simple analogy, okay, or if I were to give you the simple comparison, it may not be a uh, very much, like to like comparison. However, it's pretty close. We can see that. Okay. So the way we write formula in Microsoft Excel, okay, so DAX query is pretty similar, but although not extremely similar, but somewhat they perform the similar functions. However, the DAX queries are very much complex, okay, because they um, involve doing the computations on very huge data sets, out of which we have to, extract some insights, and that will not be possible without the DAX queries. So that's where the DAX queries come in very handy. Okay. So one of the DAX query that we are going to use today will be this one: calculate count rows. Okay. And bracket open, select the data, and then it will filter out. Then we'll highlight the condition, and then once again. So this is the DAX query we are going to use today in today's dashboard. Okay. I'll just try to increase the font size. This is the one we will be using today. All right. So theoretically, let me explain this, right? I'll just read this out. You can see this, that this is calculate. First of all, will be used to modify the context in which data is evaluated, and then the count rows, it will count the rows, number of rows in a table, and then the filter, this function returns a table that represents a subset of another table or expression. Will filter. So this is the theoretical part, right? So in other words, in simple words, right, when we combine these functions, you can count the rows of a table, but then it will filter out those things that meet the certain criteria that we are going to define. Okay, I'll explain this while I create the dashboard. All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'll insert the shape, which is going to be the title. Okay, and before that, I'm also going to change the color of the page. Okay, I just want to make sure that the dashboard is looking very attractive, and that's the whole purpose. Okay, generally I like this color purple very much, and I'm sure that you have noticed this. All right, now we are going to change the color of this as well. Okay, give me a moment here. Okay, here we figured out which color do I go for. mm, all right, I think this is looking better, right? And I'll make sure that the text is enabled. Call center trends. Right, let me just increase this. I'll make sure that the color of this is black. Okay, of course. All right, this is good to go. Now what I'm going to do is I think we don't need this. Okay, it's good to go. All right, so now the next thing will be to insert an image. So that anyone who looks at it, will be able to identify that this dashboard is all about what's happening in the call center. This looks cool, right? So anyone who looks at this will understand that, okay, this is like happening in a call center, right? All right, and now I'm going to add some slicers. I'm just going to modify this. Give me a moment. Okay. let's see. I'm going to create another slicer. This will be by the topic wise. Alright, there are these topics: topic, admin, this is payment related, technical, okay, streaming, contract, and all those things. Alright. And then we have the gauge. Okay, and I'm going to create a DAX query, and I'll explain. Target value satisfaction is equals to 4.5. That's the target that we need to meet in terms of customer satisfaction. And when I add the details here, you will be able to see this. Okay, so in the value section, it will be satisfaction rating. It should not be sum, it will be average. I'll change this to average, and then we have the maximum satisfaction rating. I'll change that to maximum. You see the maximum value here. Okay, and then we have the target value. I'll be inserting the DAX query here. Okay, when you're driving a car, right, you have the fuel indicator, whether the fuel status, right, whether it has hit the reserve section or something like that. You have the indicator, right? It shows you that, okay, now you're going to run out of fuel. You need to immediately refuel the car, right? You need to make sure that the tank is not empty. You need to immediately fill the tank. So similarly, here in the gauge, here it indicates us that, okay, we have this indicator here is 4.50. We need to meet this, but we are far away from that. So the average is 3.40, whereas the target value satisfaction is 4.50. All right, so let's see. And this is one of the rare occasions that I'm using this. I think in my previous video, I don't think I have used this visual. I'll type this as satisfaction rating. Okay. Let me decrease the font size a little bit. Okay, it's looking good. All right, now this is good for now. Okay, let's see for tan. The moment I click on Dan, the rating changes here, 3.45. I'll uncheck and immediately gets back to 3.40. All right. So let's say if I click on payment related, let's see what happens. It's still 3.40. Let's see, admin related, it's 3.43. Right. So this indicates that the slicer is also working. Let me uncheck this. All right. And now we will take a look at the calls being answered, calls not being answered. All right. So for that, we'll be using the pie chart. I would say, in fact, the donut chart, right? And once again, I'll be adding 2 more images here. Let me just resize this. Give me a moment here, okay? Okay. All right. So let me add the donut chart. I'm just making sure that the alignment is also getting taken care of, right? So that if it's properly aligned, then it's all good to go. It looks very attractive as well, right? Now, in the legend section, it'll be obviously calls answered. And then in the values, I'll drag the same thing. Okay. This is done. And now we're going to create the column chart. Let me make sure that these two are properly aligned. In the x-axis it will be the call ID, and the y-axis it will be the date. Now I think this may not be right. um, Let me see. Let me refer to the earlier dashboard, right? uh, let's find out. Okay, I think I got it the other way around. All right, so the date and the month would be in the x-axis. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me drag the call ID in the y-axis, and then in the x-axis it will be the date. All right, so it's monthly, right? All right, in the legends it will be answered, calls that are answered. Okay, let's see. So I just had clicked on the focus mode that does enlarge this visual. You can see that in January the calls 1455 calls were answered, and whereas 317 were not answered. And in February it's 318, whereas 1298 calls were answered, and 318 were not answered. 311 calls not answered in March, 1301 were answered in March. So again, this does highlight the trend that there has been a decrease in the trend, right? And alright, so this is done, and I am going to change the heading for these two visuals. Okay. Format visual. Let's see. Month-wise calls answered. I would say month-wise call statistics. I think that will make a lot of sense. Okay, let me increase the font size. When you go to general and then in title, and then you change that, and then I'll do the same thing for this visual as well. Format visual, click on general, click on calls answered. Select that and align this in the center. I'll increase the font size. Okay, alright, this is taken care of, and I'm going to insert another image, and this time it will be for the calls that are being resolved, issues that are being resolved. Let me align this. Okay, this could go. All right, we are going to create another donut chart. Let me see. In the legend section, let me drag this particular thing, resolved, and I'm going to do the same thing in values also. Okay, right. All right. So now I want to make sure that these two are looking little different. So I'm going to change the color for this one. Because both the visuals are identical, right? So what's the point when these are two different things, right? The calls that were answered and the issues that got resolved, these are two different things, so we would need a different color for that. So I'm going to click on this visual, format visual, and go to general, the effect, no, I don't think this is one. Okay, let me see. For yes, I would say this color. Okay, and then for no, I'm thinking of adding some color. Let's see if I could change this. No. Should I click on this column? I think it's okay. No, but I'm not that satisfied with this. Um, let's find out. And in yes, I would go with a different color. Let's see. I think this seems to be okay. Let me see. And for no, I'll click on this color. Okay, now I think it's cool. So one can clearly distinguish between these two donut charts, right? And let's say for these bars, we can change the color of that as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, let me see. I'm going to add the chart. So sorry, the card. And this is for the average satisfaction rating for the entire floor. It is not sum, it's average. Okay. I want to make sure that no, it's properly visible and it's looking a little big as well. Let me resize this visual. Let's see. Okay, this is good as of now. These two need to be aligned. Okay, now it's time to write the DAX queries. Okay, because that's going to be handy in the metrics visual. All right. Here you can see, right, there's a detailed statistics for each and every agent. It's matrix, right? So we're going to need a DAX query. All right, so let's write the DAX query. All right. It'll take some time. Okay. calls answered is equals to calculate count rows. Sheet 1. Okay, it'll count all the rows. That's the first thing it's going to do. Okay, and now in sheet 1, I think I may have missed something. Hold on. Count rows, sheet 1, bracket close. Then in sheet 1, what do we want to be filtered? We want to be filtered by Y. Okay, Y indicates yes. And then I'll close a bracket, because the count rows, we opened a bracket for count rows. Okay, we closed that with sheet 1. So in sheet 1, this is nothing but the table, right? Where the data is based. In case if you have like multiple sheets, then you have to be careful about that as well. Okay, but here we only have one sheet, so it's sheet 1. So this particular DAX query is taken care of. I hit enter. Alright, so this DAX query is taken care of. Now how many issues were resolved? We have to write the DAX query for that as well. Okay, it's going to be the same DAX query. New measure. And I really appreciate all those people who have, watched this video till this part. And trust me, I've also, watched many Power BI videos, and I will be exploring many more things in Power BI. There are in fact 200 DAX queries, out of which I know one DAX query, which is a calculate count rows, and I have many other DAX queries to learn. Alright, so we'll write issues resolved is equals to calculate count rows. Again, it will be sheet 1, close bracket. Now what do we want? In sheet 1, resolved is equals to Y, close inverted commas, and then close bracket, hit enter. I'm going to resize this. Alright, let me add the matrix here. Let's just find out. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I just got lost. Alright, I'm back. Now I have to add the image. Okay, hold on. Go to insert tab. Let me insert this here. All right. So this, looking at the image, you figure out that okay, these are the call center agents. So obviously beneath this, we'll be having the agent statistics. So I'll be adding the rectangle for that as well. And I'll place them here. Just want to make sure that no, this is properly aligned. Let me resize this a little bit. Okay. The shape. Enable the enable the text. Scroll it down. Write this here. It'll be agent statistics. Let me see if I could change the color. Give me a moment. Okay. Or should I go by this one? I think this is better. Agent statistics, right? In the rows, we would need the agent information. Let me drag it down. Okay. And then in the values, we'll be adding the calls answered, the DAX query which we have created. And then issues resolved. Okay. All right. And then the satisfaction rating. Change it to average. And then lastly, we have the speed of answer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to little resize this, because I just want to make sure that the alignment is also properly done, and so that it's not looking pretty, irregular or, unattractive. So we have to do a little resizing. I think now this should be looking a little better. Okay. All right. And then finally we have the speed of answer. Let me change that to average. I'm just done Control Z, you know, because something just got pretty haywire. Alright, I think these things are all in place now. Alright, so finally our dashboard is you know, pretty much done. Alright, so we have the calls answered section, month-wise call statistics, average satisfaction rating, how many issues were resolved. Alright, and lastly, before I wrap the video, I'll be just presenting the, let me see, RCA, which is root cause analysis. I'm just thinking of adding entire rectangle box so that we can add the whole text here. Because when you do the root cause analysis and when you present that to the management, they will immediately be able to understand that, okay, this is what the issue is and this is what we need to work upon, right? Let me enable the text. Let's just take a quick look at the calls answered. $4,054 and $946. Let me calculate. 4,054, 946, 5,000. Okay. Out of 5,000 calls, $946 calls were not answered. No, I think this is not working, so I may have to remove this. Let me see. We could add the text box. I'm just trying to find out how I could add a text here, or let me see. Format page. I think for the time being I will leave this. Alright, so our entire dashboard is prepared and ready, and let me just see if I could give the finishing touches. Alright, click on this visual, click on color column, and let me see what color do I need to. Click on effects, data format, okay. Now I figured out how to change the color for this. Let's see. Change this as this color. Okay, it's looking good. Change the option to Y, and let's see what color do we need. We need this. I think this is looking good, because this has this different color section, and we have different color bars, and again the donut chart for this one we have different slice. Finally, I want to change the title, general, issues resolved. And increase the font size. And I'll ensure that it's properly aligned in the center. Alright, this is good to go. Okay, alright, so that's it for today's video. Right, I really appreciate your entire patience in watching the entire video. Alright, and in upcoming videos I will see how can I make the dashboard much better. Alright, so that's it for today's video, and we had come up with the entire dashboard highlighting the trends and everything, the statistics, and we'll present this to the management in the email as well, that see, out of the 5,000 calls, so many calls are not answered, 946, which indicates that the service level took a huge hit. Ideally it should be 90%, but here the service level is at 81%, which is alarming. And then the issues resolved, out of that again it's 27%. Again the issues resolved should be at 90%, right? So these two issues, when we highlight them and make sure that the management is taking a look at the entire issue, they'll be able to come up with an action plan. Alright, so thank you so much for watching the video. In case if you have not subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to my channel. Alright, where you get the knowledge related to Excel and Power BI and AI. So thank you, and I'll meet you in the next video.